Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sullivan Stadium, Division I Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl number 15, and today the champions of the Middlesex League, the Winchester Sachems, are going to play the home team for the champions of the Greater Boston League, the Peabody Tanners. Drew Bolden and Mark Ackerbloom here to bring you the play-by-play action. And Mark, it's a big stadium, it's a big day, it's a cold day, and it should be a great football game.
Well, we expect nothing less. Division I High School Super Bowl number 15. And the Sachems happy to be here, I'm sure, as are the Peabody Tanners. And things, you did touch on it. It is very cold today. There is a stiff breeze blowing across the field, so it'll be interesting to see how the passing game is affected. Also, the running backs. We have two of the best running backs in the Middlesex League, Darren Cromwell and Pat Cullen for the Peabody Tanners.
Well, these are probably two of the biggest running backs in Massachusetts this year. Darren Cromwell, 20 touchdowns on the year. Pat Cullen, a little bit better, 24 touchdowns, but he has 2.5 more games under his belt than Darren does.
That's true, and the quarterbacks, you can talk about John DeMarco for the Sachems. He has been a very proficient passer and runner for the Sachems. And also on the other side of the football, you have Peabody's Ted Staunton. And Staunton also is their field goal kicker, but a very good quarterback in his own right.
Well, this is definitely a great matchup, Mark. Both of these teams 10-0, and there you see the Peabody Tanners. They are making their way onto the field. The Winchester High School Marching Band is already there. They are set to play the national anthem. And we'd like to welcome you all to Sullivan Stadium. And Mark, this game is being brought to everybody in Winchester as a public service, a Continental Cablevision and TV 19. So it is a big thrill for us to be here, as well as I'm sure it is for everybody from Winchester to be down here at Foxborough. We are about ready for kickoff and the national anthem. And we will go down in the field for the Winchester Sachems playing the Star Spangled Banner.
The anthem will be performed by the Winchester High School Marching Band.
Okay, everybody, that is the Star Spangled Banner. There you see him. The Peabody Tanners will be on the near side of the field here at Sullivan Stadium. On the far side, the Winchester Sachems. And Mark, 20th year for Coach Manny Marshall. So it's got to be a big thrill for him to be able to lead his team. This is the first appearance by the Sachems in the Super Bowl.
That's true, Drew. Manny Marshall has been coaching for some 20 years. He has had a number of great football teams at the high school, but as you said, never been to the Super Bowl. This is one thing that has eluded him in the past. However, today they are here and they are ready to play. And right now, the captains are meeting at the center of the field, and we should get the coin toss right now.
Well, while we're waiting for that, Peabody, we'd like to point out, has been here, and they were here in 1983. They lost to Natick in '83, so they have felt the pressure of a game like this before. Captains meeting at the center of the field for the Sachems, as it has been all year. Mike Vizella, John Masson, Darren Cromwell, and Richie Burke. Now for the Tanners of Peabody. Take a while to look through him. Gary Bua. Also out there is Ted Staunton, number 20. Number 30, that is Pat Cullen. You'll see a lot of him today. Number 34, Mark Jones in that backfield. And then again, the last captain out there is number 73, and that is Kelly Craig. And they are a big team, Mark. These Tanners, they match up very well. Winchester has had an advantage over the most of the years that they've matched up a little bit better than their teams, but these Peabody Tanners are a good-sized ball club.
They are, Drew, and you saw what Winchester did against another good-sized ball club in Woburn on Thanksgiving Day. That was a classic matchup between the Woburn line and the Sachem line, and in that game, the Sachem line was able to do the job, and they were able to control that line of scrimmage, and thus Darren Cromwell had a great game. He had 3 touchdowns, including 179 yards on the ground. And if that line can do a good job today, they should have no problem against the Peabody Tanners. But as you said, in the Super Bowl, anything is possible.
You know, Mark, that's one thing is Darren Cromwell had 179 yards, but he had 135 of those in the first half. He's done that before. I've noticed, I read the papers the next day and noticed that Darren's had 100 yards in the first half, very quiet for 100 yards. The Peabody Tanners, they're here because of their big back, and we talked about him, Pat Cullen. He has 24 touchdowns on the season. The Sachems are set to kick it away, and of course, the senior, number 80, Mark Shaw, will be handling the kickoff duties. And Mark Shaw is a weapon today.
Mark Shaw is a weapon, Drew, not only for his kicking abilities, which he is very good at, but also we've seen him on the receiving end of a number of John DeMarco passes this season. He's a big kid. He plays the free safety very well on defense, and he will certainly be a person that the Sachems will look to out in the open flat across the middle or dump off to the right or left side.
Set to receive it are number 26 on the near side. There you see him, Tom Pusillo. On the far side is number 24, John Wojcik. Just a little bit out of your frame right there. There you see him right there.
Drew, you see the type of turf that we're playing. This is, of course, artificial turf, and you see Petrulo with sneakers, high-top sneakers reminiscent of Michael Jordan on the Chicago Bulls. More of a basketball-type shoe, but works very well on this type of surface.
We can really expect a lot of great plays today. Winchester is an option team. Peabody is a power team. As we're set to kick it away, Shaw. And we are underway. This is Wojcik at his own 15, running right up the middle and hit immediately and pushing out to about the 30. Tackle that time made by number 67, Rafi Kazelian.
Great play that time there by the special teams of the Sachems, Drew. And they have played outstanding football all season long, and with no exception, they had a great game against Woburn as well. So the Sachem special teams, if they can keep up the good play, should prove very profitable for the Sachems this afternoon. It is one of the strong points for the Sachem football team.
Well, you just saw the Sachem defensive unit. They are ready. And now, dropping back to pass is Staunton, able to pitch it out to Cullen. And Cullen able to pick up a blocks and pick up about 5 yards on the play.
Some good pressure that time, Drew, by the Sachem defense. However, Ted Staunton showing some good poise early on, able to dump the ball off to Cullen, and Cullen, of course, did the rest from there, picked up a good yard.
Receiver that time was number 31, Lee Miller. But that's one thing that the Sachems are going to have to worry about, is they're going to have to worry about that arm of Ted Staunton. He is a good passer. It is 2nd down and 5.
Going to be 7-yard line, 2nd and 3.
And this is a draw play to Cullen. Cullen with 1st down yardage. Pushes the ball out to the 45. Marked down at the 46. Finally taken down by Dave Carter, number 75.
Pat Cullen, Drew, a senior and a big kid, 5'10", 180 pounds. He is able to carry a number of Sachems on his back that time, able to break through the middle for a good gain and another 1st down.
Well, Mark Cullen this year on 224 carries, able to pick up 1,424 yards, and as we said earlier, 24 touchdowns for the senior. And he is a big, powerful back. It is 1st and 10, the ball at the Peabody 46. And again, right up the middle this time. Cullen again with the call, and that's good for about 5 yards, Mark, and you might see that all afternoon.
Well, we're seeing the Tanners, no surprise really, keeping the ball on the ground. And we saw the Sachems give up a lot of ground yardage in certain games this season. You had games against Stoneham where they ran very effectively. And so also Melrose as well. Sachem defense certainly will have to shut down this running game. And Ted Staunton, though, a very good passer as well. So they're going to have to keep the Tanners honest.
2nd down and 4. But now with a little resistance right up the middle was Lee Miller. And he may be good for about a yard.
Drew, I had a chance to see these Peabody Tanners a year ago in Revere. And in that game, they won 14-7 at Revere. But the star of that game was not Pat Cullen, it was Lee Miller. Lee Miller with 2 touchdowns, I believe. And Pat Cullen really not heard from until this season, but in high school football, you never know when that new star could emerge. It could be any time.
Well, we saw that happen for Darren Cromwell. Really came into his own this season. He did contribute last year, but he really came into his own this season. It is a 3rd down and 3. And now Staunton looking to pass, intended for number 89, but in and out of the hands of Kevin McGovern.
I think that time, Drew, Kevin McGovern simply knew he had a lot of open field, and I think he was ready to run with the ball before he even caught it. Left open, wide open. Sometimes you just stare at that ball. The more you look at it, the bigger it seems, and all of a sudden you drop it. Well, the Sachems dodged a bullet there, as that will bring up, as you said, a 4th down and 3, and the ball resting at the Sachem 46-yard line.
Peabody dropping back to punt. Deep men are Mike Murray and Aaron West. A high snap, but a good kick. And Murray will let it sail out of bounds. It'll go out about the 19. A good punt that time by number 42, Scott Hatfield. And that's where the Sachems will take over, Mark.
And Drew, the Sachems will, of course, be going with their top running back in Darren Cromwell. Also in the backfield with John DeMarco, the quarterback, and Darren Cromwell will be Danny Costello and number 20, Art Gordon.
And this is the first offensive possession. Winchester out of the wishbone. And inside handoff this time to number 22, Dan Costello.
Danny Costello, Drew, the fullback for the Sachems. He's had a good season. He's averaging over 4 yards a carry. And Danny Costello, a very tough runner up inside. And they try to go with him up the middle and Cromwell to the outside for more speed.
Picked up a 3 on the play. He's second down and 7. Ball's at the 28.
It is 2nd down and 7, again out of the wishbone. And this is number 22, Dan Costello again, and he picks up the 1st down.
Danny Costello following his right tackles, good blocking right there on the right side, able to stretch it out over across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. Good gain of yardage right there by Danny Costello, and it will be another 1st down for the Sachems. Sachems now have the ball on their own 36-yard line, 1st and 10.
Well, you can pretty much figure that the Tanners are keen on number 21, Darren Cromwell. Winchester noting that and going to Costello the first 2 plays. 1st and 10. And this is Costello again with the spin yards for pickup of about 4 on the play.
Well, we saw the Tanners move the ball effectively on the ground on a few of their plays when they had their first possession, and now the Sachems are doing the same, and they have moved the ball out to the 39-yard line. 6:57 remaining to play in the first quarter of this, the Division I High School Football Super Bowl.
And now out of the eye, pitching out to Cromwell. Cromwell trying to get around that corner and strung out real well by that Tanner defense, but there was a pickup of about 2 yards that time.
Gary Buick, Drew, with a nice play right there. Showed the type of speed that he has. He has emerged as one of the better defensive players for the Tanners this season. And that time able to catch up with Darren Cromwell. And Cromwell held to a short gain. And 3rd down and 4 now for the Sachems.
So far, we haven't seen DeMarco go to the air. They go to him when they need to. He does have a pretty accurate arm. 9 touchdowns on the season. But right now, it is 3rd down and 4. DeMarco working from his own 41. And this is Costello again for short yardage. And that Peabody Tanner defense, Mark, is doing the job right now, bringing up a tough 4th down and 3 situation.
Well, they matched the Sachems defense and forcing now the Sachems to punt the football. The Tanner defense has played well all season long. You have to go 10-0. And that is what the Tanners have done, as have the Sachems. Good defenses. It will be a question of who can hold out the longest as far as good defensive play.
Masson back to punt. And there you see the Peabody deep man, number 24, Stan Wojcik, and Tom Pasillo on the near side. Masson with a little bit of pressure, but gets away a nice kick. And it goes into the end zone, and this hustling down the field was check that, Rhett Moody, and Rhett just trying to save that ball from going into the end zone. That was a beautiful punt, Mark, about a 60-yarder.
As you said, Drew, about 60 yards on the punt. Unfortunately for the Sachems, it reached the end zone, and it will be a touchback and brought out to the 20-yard line. But John Madison, a very good punt, given the circumstances that this is the Super Bowl game. It is the biggest game of the season and possibly the careers of many of these Sachems. So a good punt. Unfortunately, it went into the end zone, but now the Tanners have the ball once again, 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line.
And now out of the eye is Peabody. Coming around the corner is Cullen. He is still on his feet into the defensive secondary and close to first down yardage. Cullen that time showing the power that's gotten him 1,400 yards this season.
Well, Pat Cullen all week in some of the local newspapers had said that the Sachems were the ones getting all the media attention, and he wasn't too pleased about it and said that he would come out and make amends. Now on this play, he was able to break around the right side, broke 2 tackles by the Sachems, and then finally he was wrestled down, as you said, at about the 32-yard line where they'll take over now with another first down.
And now this is Staunton looking to pass, and it is complete across the 40-yard line. And receiver that time, Tom Pasillo. And Pasillo is one of their leading receivers, 19 catches, 348 yards on the season. And he is good for first down yardage, pushes the ball out across the Peabody 40.
Tanners mixing it up, Drew. They went with the run early on. Now it's going to the air, and it's worked successfully for them. Sachem defensive secondary will have to be on their toes, as will the defensive line for Winchester.
This is Lee Miller with the keeper. And he is close to first down yardage again, Mark, and they are mixing the plays up very well right now.
Well, Pat Cullen Lee Miller able to get out on the left sideline, and you saw the strength of Lee Miller, only a junior, but he is a very strong kid, able to carry number 65 for the Sachems, Frank Gianci, a good 2 yards further once he was in his grasp. And that just showed the strength. The Tanners now moving the football effectively inside Winchester territory.
1st and 10 for the Tanners again, coming in motion. And this is Cullen. Cullen with good yardage, able to slice it into the defense. Pickup of about 5 yards. It'll bring up a second down, actually closer to 6. It'll be up a second down and about 4.
Well, we talked about it with Darren Cromwell, Drew. And when you have a star running back with the caliber play that Cromwell produces each game, it opens up other areas for the offense to use, such as the pass, which they use to Benincasa. Well, you're seeing the Tanners do the same thing. Highly touted Cullen, now they're replacing it with Lee Miller and mixing it up a bit.
And now a new ball carrier in number 42, Scott Hatfield, and Hatfield is good for a first down. Hatfield is a all-around player. He has had 12 receptions for 255 yards. There you see him, number 42, coming in as a specialty player. And it is a timeout for the Sachems. And we're just over 3 minutes left to play, 3:27. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association for their cooperation in helping us bring this game to all of our viewers there in Winchester. They sanction all of the interscholastic sports and sponsor our championships in very many events. And Mark, Winchester has to be real proud to be associated with the MIAA, especially the championships. We've got 2 champions in Winchester already, and that is the boys soccer team and the girls soccer team, and they just both played a heck of a season this year. We would also like to thank Continental Cablevision of Newton and of Wellesley for providing some excellent production support, as well as all of our facilities up and down in North Shore for providing equipment. It is first down and 10 for Peabody, and this is Lee Miller again. Miller trying to get outside, able to break a few tackles and pick up good yardage again.
Well, Art Gordon had Lee Miller at the line of scrimmage. However, Miller was able to spring free and able to pick up an additional 5 yards and move the ball down to the 30-yard line of the Sachems. Bring up a second down and 4 now for the Tanners.
I'd like to remind you, spectators, there are no signs that are allowed in the stand. Those of you who haven't, you would appreciate your moving it to the
From the Winchester 29, this is Cullen. Cullen barrels his way down for a first down, close to the Winchester 25.
Well, the Sachem defense having trouble stopping the run by the Peabody Tanners. Pat Cullen, Lee Miller able to pick up 4 or 5 yards every time they carry that football, and certainly Manny Marshall has to be talking with his coaches upstairs, trying to figure out some way to help this defense out and make them come up with the big plays to stop this Tanner drive.
Well, you'll probably hear Pat Cullen's name called all day long. He is a 5'10", 180-pound senior, 24 touchdowns to his credit. It is first down and 10 from the Winchester 25. Again, Cullen. And this time the Sachem defense rises to the occasion and stops that play with no gain.
Good play there for the Sachem defense, and that's the type of play they need psychologically at this point. With the Tanners driving, picking up 4 or 5 yards a carry. That time the Sachem defense equal to the challenge as they stacked it up for no gain, and it will bring up a second down and 9. So they picked up maybe a yard, but they have to feel good that they held them to just 1 yard, Drew.
Well, you just saw head coach Manny Marshall for the Sachems yelling instructions to his players. It is a second down and 9. The ball at the Winchester 24. Under 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. No score. Swinging out to Cullen now. Cullen is trapped. And that was a good defensive play that time by Richard Burke, Aaron West, and Vinny Benincasa, able to contain Cullen. And it was a dangerous play as he swung way out into that flat.
Well, a number of players in on the stop for the Sachems, namely Richard Burke. He is the captain for the Sachem defense. And Richie Burke has played an outstanding season from his linebacker position, able to come up with a number of tackles, key tackles throughout. And one that sticks out in my mind was the tackle of Tito Raymond in the Wakefield game, which helped get them to the Super Bowl.
It is a third down and 3. The ball at the Winchester 18. Inside a minute to play in the first quarter. And able to break free this time is Pat Cullen. Cullen picks up a first down, pushes the ball down to the Winchester 11-yard line.
Sachems, Drew, are now have their backs faced to that proverbial wall as they have the ball spotted at the 11-yard line, and the Tanners now have 4 fresh downs to work with. Pat Cullen, the instrumental part of this offense, definitely for the Tanners.
And this is Lee Miller now on a little cross-up play in the backfield, able to pick up about 4 yards, pushes the ball down to the Winchester 6.
Drew, as you read the headlines and the stories in the local papers this week, all they talked about was the quarterback Ted Staunton and the running back in Pat Cullen, but they did not talk about the other people. And I'm wondering, how much these other kids felt, how bad they felt that they weren't getting the type of press from their own team, or rather about their own team.
10 seconds left to go in the first quarter, and the play goes off. Cullen right across the middle. And a lot of scrambling there in on that huddle. We were looking for a fumble, but there's no indication. And time has expired in the first quarter. The score stands 0-0. Winchester and Peabody have just pretty much fought things out. And Mark, for the most part, we've seen a lot of running plays and not a lot of passing so far in the first half.
That's right, Drew. Well, we talked about it earlier. It is cold out, and for the quarterback to throw the ball is going to be hard to begin with, harder than it normally is, for example, on a warm day. But also for the receivers, their hands are cold. The quarterback's hands are not the warmest either. They keep blowing into their hands trying to keep them warm, and that has limited the passing game. The Tanners have an exceptional running game, and they are using it, and they are showing the people at home exactly what they can do with that football when it is handed off to their backs.
And Winchester, on the other hand, hasn't had much of a chance to establish their offense today. They've had the possession one time, but had to punt it away.
What you're seeing, Drew, on the Tanner offensive side of the football is the fact that a number of different players, not only Pat Cullen, although he has played very well in the first quarter, a number of other players, namely Lee Miller and a few others, have done very well when they've carried the football. And what you see in these games of this magnitude, games like the Super Bowl, is that for many of these kids, especially the seniors, it is their last game. But for many of these kids, they'll never have a chance to come to a Super Bowl again. So that when they get into this ball game, they want to do the very best possible. And not to say that they wouldn't do that all season long, but with all the emotion that goes into a Super Bowl game, I think it's a little bit more, a little something extra.
Well, it'll be 3rd and 4 when Peabody snaps the ball. The ball sits at the Winchester 5, so Winchester obviously in a goal line stance. And Staunton looking to pass and flips it out to Lee Miller. Touchdown, Peabody.
Well, simple play that time for the Peabody Tanners as Staunton merely rolled out to his left and found a wide open Lee Miller, number 31, in the end zone, good for 6 points, and the Tanners take the lead, 6-0.
Well, you have to hand it to head coach Ed Nizwantowski of the Peabody Tanners. That was a great play calling that time. Winchester had 8 guys down on the line, just 3 people standing up in that secondary, and flipped it over the Staunton able to flip it over the head of Vin Benincasa and connect with Lee Miller. Peabody up front, 6-0. On to try the point after touchdown is number 20, Ted Staunton. And kick is good. Peabody out in front, 7-0.
Well, Drew, we saw the Peabody running game used to its finest, and we also saw the pass, though, mixed up a few times in that drive. And we saw it used effectively to pick up a first down. We also used it non-effectively when Cullen got swung out to the right. However, they didn't pick up much yardage, but again, they did complete the pass, and on the touchdown play, you saw it right there, able to get the touchdown. It was a 3rd down and 3 from the 4-yard line, and they were able to pick up the 6 points. So now Peabody with the extra point leads 7-0. There you see it on your scoreboard. Just 10:55 remaining to play in the first half. We've just started the second quarter. And Drew, we can't look at this as being a very big threat in that the Sachems have come back from deficits before. And I can remember just back to the last game we covered, which was the Tanner game, the Woburn Tanner game at Woburn. The Sachems trailed 7-0, and they still had the character to come back. Also against Stoneham, down 2 touchdowns, were able to come back.
Well, Staunton set to kick it away. Deep men are on the near side, Mike Murray, and on the far side, Scott Garvey. And Staunton having a little bit of trouble keeping the ball on the tee. It's a little windy today. It's a bright sunny day. It's about a 30 or 40 degree day, but the wind is right to Ted Staunton's back. There's a nice end zone shot there. And Staunton, a good kick. This will be Scott Garvey from the 5. Garvey has a hole, and he has to get by Staunton, and he could be gone. And a great run back that time by the sophomore, Scott Garvey.
Tremendous run up the left sideline by Scott Garvey. He is used on the special teams more so than regular play for the Sachems. However, he has scored 3 touchdowns this season. And Scott Garvey able to turn the corner and cut his way through that Tanner line and get up the left sideline. Only one player could stop him. And as we saw, it was the kicker and Ted Staunton able to make the touchdown, possibly saving tackle. But the Sachems with great field position, able to come right back, and they needed that play. Ball resting at the Tanner 47.
Out of the wishbone, 1st and 10, and this is Costello. Costello fighting for some tough yards. A pickup of about 3. Actually, it's a little bit hard to see those numbers. Cromwell that time able to push that ball up for about 3 yards.
You touched on it earlier, Drew. The Sachems really didn't have a chance to move with the football in the first half as the Tanners pretty much chewed out the whole clock. They did have 1 possession. So now the Sachems get a chance to get their offense moving, the ball inside the 45-yard line of the Tanners.
It'll be 2nd down and 6. And we do have a timeout on the field. Peabody calling the timeout. And Mark, I'd like to point out Scott Garvey is a sophomore. He had 2 big touchdowns in a nice win on a Friday night early in the season against Watertown. These Winchester Sachem fans are going to have plenty of an opportunity to see that young man in the next coming years.
We talk about Scott Garvey. We can also talk about some of the people that were here. Drew, you and I had a chance to go up in the press box here at Sullivan Stadium, and we noticed a number of people from the newspapers, but also a number of scouts from the big schools. We even saw some people from Notre Dame are here today.
That's right.
To see some of these outstanding high school athletes.
The Tennessee Volunteers had people here. Florida has people here. Boston College, as well as some of the smaller schools, Tufts, UMass Amherst. So this definitely is a showcase. And there's 2 games here at Sullivan Stadium today. The Patriots were here earlier. Normally there's 3. They play the Division I through Division III Super Bowl down here. But with the Patriots gearing up for a big game tomorrow actually against Cincinnati, one of those games had to be moved to Nickerson Field at BU. So we have 2 games today. This is the Division I Super Bowl. Winchester now trailing the Peabody Tanners 7-0, 10:15 left to go in the first half. And it is a 2nd down and 6 for the Sachems from the Peabody 43-yard line. And this is Costello with the ball. He's able to pick up about 3 yards on the play. And Costello is getting a lot of the calls right up the middle.
Well, I think the Sachems are trying to exploit that offensive line and try and use the middle and then try and swing it to the outside and try and mix it up a bit. We have yet to see John DeMarco use the pass. They're going to stick with what's got them here all season long, and that certainly has to be the run, although the pass has helped win a lot of games for the Sachems this season.
A third down and 1. And hit hard at the line of scrimmage was Cromwell. That was not a third down and 1, about a third down and 3. Cromwell, a pickup of a yard, will bring up 4th down in short yardage.
Big play here, Drew. Certainly the biggest play of the ball game so far for the Sachems. The 4th down and 2 situation. The ball marked just inside the 40-yard line. Coming into the ball game, number 83 for the Sachems. That is Vinny Benincasa. Of course, Benincasa is the deep threat. He has 8 touchdown receptions this season. But on a 4th and 2, Drew, I think they will elect to keep it on the ground, but you never know with the Sachems.
The ball at the Peabody 39. And that is an illegal procedure that time. Firing off a little bit prematurely was that right guard, number 63, Dave Ford, anticipating the count. And that will not help out the Sachems as they are trying desperately to convert this first down and sustain their drive.
Well, Drew, we saw it back in the Thanksgiving Day game. However, it was the other team that was making the penalty plays, the mistakes. And that was the Woburn Tanners, and it cost them, quite possibly cost them the ball game. I can remember one of the plays when they had a 4th down and 1, the Sachems did, and they were able to draw the Tanners offside. So the smarter team is certainly going to help its cause this afternoon, and hopefully the Sachems can eliminate the mental breakdowns that we just saw right there.
Well, Masson set back to punt. Ed Nizwantowski did not like the call and decided to call timeout. His deep man is Wojcik, and he is set to receive the ball at about the 15.
And Drew, a good crowd on hand today for the Super Bowl. We expected nothing less, and it kind of doesn't give a good look at how many people are really here, because the Foxborough Stadium holds in excess of 60,000 fans. So when that is full, of course, it's a much bigger crowd. But if you were to take these fans and put them in something like Knowlton Stadium, we'd have a very big crowd on our hands.
Much like we had on Thanksgiving Day. There's Masson. He has his hand all wrapped up from an earlier injury. It's actually in a cast. And just able to get back is the Tanner defenseman. And Masson again with a good kick. And Wojcik trying to wave it off. And there is a big break, Mark. A great break for the Sachems. Wojcik called the fair catch. Did not get under it and dropped the ball. Winchester recovers.
John Wojcik, Drew, certainly hearing feet that time by the Sachems. And the Sachems come up with a big, big turnover, able to take the ball now from the inside, or rather the 20-yard line of the Tanners. And a great play that time by the special teams, and we touched on it before. They have been playing outstanding football, and a big misjudgment that time.
Number 77, Phil Svan, he's a junior, able to pounce on it, gives the Winchester new life, 1st and 10 from the 20. This is DeMarco handing off to Costello. Costello again stacked up at the line of scrimmage. And Mark, the newspapers talked about it. You and I talked about it. The play of those lines, the offensive line, the defensive line. If Winchester wants to run this option, they're going to have to get some big plays out of their guards, tackles, and center.
Well, you have to remember, Drew, that the Tanners coming into this ball game had not faced the option all season long. It was a concern that Ed Nizwantowski had talked about. However, the Sachems will have to do a little better than they're doing right now as far as the ground game is concerned. They have not been able to uncork that option. They had a great setup on this drive, remember, by Scott Garvey, and they have moved the ball inside. They had moved the ball inside to about the 30-yard line, but then were forced back and forced to kick due to a penalty. Now they have a great chance, the ball resting on the 20-yard line and 2nd down.
We have an injured Sachem on the play. Slow getting up is number 75, Dave Carter. There you see Manny Marshall talking over with John DeMarco. Carter will be coming into your screen shortly.
And Drew, the Sachems can ill afford a loss to their fine tackle and Dave Carter. Dave Carter certainly a main cog in the Sachem offense, and he plays very well on defense.
Okay, now 2nd down and 9. The ball at the Peabody 19. And DeMarco fumbled the snap, but Winchester able to recover.
Drew, the Sachems have to be thinking touchdown, and even if they are thinking of using Mark Shaw as a last resort for a field goal, this still is not a chip shot. Shaw very capable of hitting long-distance field goals, but the wind down on the field itself is swirling wind, and he would be kicking into the wind as the flag stands right now. So the Sachems have to get the ball inside, and they have to try and go for the touchdown. But if they can't, they have to get in close enough for Mark Shaw.
With a loss of 2, it's a 3rd down and 11. Now a pitch out to Cromwell. Cromwell had trouble hanging on to it and is sacked by number 63, Jeff Karen. And Mark, that time Cromwell did not get the pitch out. There was somebody right on DeMarco, and Darren lost more yards on the play. Will bring up a 4th down and about 13 or 14 yards for the first.
Well, I think he had the lesser of 2 evils there, Drew. Cromwell was not going to pick up much yardage, but then again, he did not fumble the football. He did a good job of wrestling that football in, because it was not the greatest of snaps or pitches, because as you said, DeMarco was under pressure, but the Sachems now faced with a 4th down and 14.
Well, DeMarco dropping straight back to pass, and doesn't surprise anybody, but sets up a screen to Cromwell. Cromwell able to follow his blocks, and there's a touchdown for Darren Cromwell.
A great play that time by Darren Cromwell, Drew, and a great job by John DeMarco in executing the pass. And what can you say? You give it to your bread and butter man, and that's exactly what they did that time, and Cromwell did the rest.
You have to love Darren Cromwell, because he sets up in the screen and just follows his blocks, hops and skips right into the end zone, and that is number 21 for number 21. The 21st touchdown for Darren Cromwell.
And I'll tell you, Drew, when he first caught that football, there were a lot of white jerseys in his way to get to that end zone, but you saw the type of player Darren Cromwell is. He thrives in the big game and the big type of play that he has to make, and he does the job. He's a winner. And what you see on a play like that is his quickness in the way that he cuts back very well across the grain, but he also can set up a player and then just run right by him.
Well, pressure is on that young man now, number 80, Mark Shaw. He has been Mr. Automatic, hitting well over 80% of his points after touchdowns this season. And right now his team is 6-7. He's trailing 6-7. So this point after touchdown, very important. Holder would be John DeMarco. And it hits the upright. You saw from our end zone camera, it hits the upright and falls short. So Winchester now trailing by a point, 6-7.
A very big point, Drew. And we touched on it. Mark Shaw was kicking into the wind, and that time the ball struck the left goal post. Sachems now still trailing the ball game by the score of 7-6. And you're going to have to look and see how important that was down the road. We don't know at this point, but it certainly could play a key factor in today's ball game. Nevertheless, the Sachems get on the scoreboard, Drew, and now only trail by a point. They were down 7-0, make it 7-6 now. And Sachems will be kicking off, and they have to feel good that they are back in this ball game.
Well, Shaw is set to kick it away, number 80. Deep man on the near side of the field. That's Pacello on the far side. The near side is Wojcik. He is number 24. There he is. And Shaw now having trouble keeping the ball on the tee. Mark, these Sachem fans have been treated to a lot of good football here on TV 19, and we're real proud to be able to bring this game to everybody. There was a lot of questions on Thanksgiving Day whether or not we'd be down in Foxborough, but sure enough, we were able to pull things together. And we'd like to thank all the other Continental Cablevision facilities around for helping provide equipment, manpower, and also to all of our volunteers who have helped throughout the year. Again, Mark Shaw having trouble with the ball, and I don't imagine that the referees will stand for much more of this. They're going to call for a holder.
You got an idea just how cold it was. Mark Shaw, you can see the gloves he has on his hands. Chilly day here. It's only going to get colder by late this afternoon. Once again, for the 3rd straight time, the ball falls off the tee. And the fans getting a little restless now. We'll see if they are indeed asking George Nowell, number 27, to hold the football. Now they have asked Paul Amico, number 17.
Well, actually, we're getting all kinds of players in there, Mark. The Rafi Kazilian, number 67, a big lineman, will be down on one knee holding the ball for Mr. Shaw. This is a good kickoff, pushing Pasillo back, but at the 20-yard line, able to field the ball and hit immediately. Another fumble, and the Sachems recover. No indication yet, but there it is. The Sachems again with another big turnover.
The special teams with their second big play in as many times as they have been out on the field. And Drew, you got to hand it to these special teams. These kids, a lot of them are not starters, but when they get a chance to get on the football field, they perform.
Well, guys like Rhett Moody and Joe Zacola all year long on those kickoff plays are hustling down the field, making the big play, and again it pays off. Winchester will take over 1st and 10 at the Peabody 22-yard line. Now out of the wishbone, DeMarco looking to pass, plenty of time, up over the middle to Benincasa. Benincasa has a touchdown!
Winchester's deep threat, Drew. Vinny Benincasa has 8 touchdowns on the year, make it 9. John DeMarco with his 10th touchdown pass finds Benincasa alone in the corner of the end zone, and Vinny Benincasa outraced 3 Tanner defenders to that corner of that end zone. John DeMarco with a great pass, and the Sachems now have pulled out in front to score 12-7, and they will go for the conversion right now.
Winchester appears to be trying for the 2-point conversion, trying to make amends of that missed kick. Mark Shaw hit the upright last time down. And again out of the wishbone, here it is for the 2-point conversion. Now with the pitch out to Cromwell, and Cromwell scoots it in for 2.
John DeMarco did a great job executing the option that time. He was able to draw the Tanners to him and then just pitch it right out to Cromwell. Cromwell only one guy to beat. And when you're one-on-one with Darren Cromwell, I'd put my money on Cromwell 9 times out of 10.
Darren is a heck of a ball player, and I think he definitely is going to have a future. You know, we've talked about Darren all year long and about the possibilities of him going on to a college. He's not a big ball player. They list him here as a 5'9", 170-pounder, but it is all heart. That young man plays with every ounce that he has. He is a tough ball player and made a lot of strides this year in able to break tackles, working on his strength and everything else. Winchester out in front now, 14-7.
And something for the folks at home, Drew, that they might not know is the fact that we here at the stadium are treated to the Diamond Vision replays up on the screen, and every time they play these points over again for the Sachems, the crowd is just loving it, and so are we here at the stadium, and we're able to see instant replays as soon as the play is over, and 2 or 3 times in fact.
Well, Shaw set to kick it away. Kazilian holding the ball, and this time it will go to Pasillo again, right about at the 20, able to run it up the middle, but able to hold on to the ball this time and finally pushes it out across the 30 to about the 31, and that's where Peabody will take over. They have just 6 minutes left to work in this first half.
Well, I don't think we could have expected the special teams to come up with another turnover so soon, but that time they did a good job, and then that the kick was fielded at about the 20, and a short gain for the Tanners. And the Tanners, as you said, Drew, did hold on to the football, and they will take over with 6:13 remaining to play in the first half. The ball resting just over the 30-yard line, their own 30-yard line.
Staunton now looking to pass, going long downfield. This could be picked off, but a great play coming across at the last second by Mark Shaw, intended receiver that time, number 42. There you see him, Scott Hatfield.
Mark Shaw from his free safety position, he's able to roam. He's kind of like a center fielder back there on the football squad. And that time, Mark Shaw able to catch up to the receiver and at the last second bat that pass away for an incompletion.
Mark Shaw, probably one of the better athletes on this squad, loaded with good athletes. So it'll bring up a 2nd down and 10. The ball at the Peabody 31. And stacked up this time. Ball handed off to Pat Cullen. But he was stacked up by that Winchester defense, who was finally hitting their stride into this game.
Scott Cullen and Dave Carter in to stop Cullen in his tracks. Cullen versus Cullen that time, and the Winchester Cullen won.
Well, when you match those two guys up, Scott Cullen from Winchester, 5'11", 215. Pat Cullen, 5'10", 180. So there is definitely a physical advantage. Clock is running, 5.5 minutes left to play in the first half, and Ted Staunton, not happy with the defensive lineup that he sees, calls a timeout.
And Drew, for the folks at home, they might not know that Mark Shaw joined the football team after playing a few years of soccer for the high school. And the boys soccer team, of course, the MIAA Division II champions for high school, and the girls Division I champions this year in soccer. Hats off to them and Mark Shaw, because Mark Shaw was able to taste a little of both. And a very capable soccer player, but decided to try his hand at football, and it's paid off with very big dividends for him.
Well, he had a great season last year, connecting on several point-after touchdowns, figuring in as a receiver, doing a good job all the way around for the Sachems. You know, and on that boys soccer team, one athlete I'd like to make mention of is Christoph Verhagen. This kid is a senior, and Gene Pooley calls him the best player he has ever seen. And without a doubt, he is a great athlete. But now back to Division I Super Bowl, 3rd down and 11 for the Peabody Tanners. And Staunton is sacked.
Great play that time by one of the 4 captains for the Sachems in Johnny Matson, number 85. And Masson, cast and all, able to bring down Ted Staunton in the backfield. And the Tanners, now faced with a 4th down and 15, will definitely be kicking the ball away and doing the kicking chores as far as punts go for the Tanners is number 42, Scott Hatfield.
Hatfield has a bad snap, but able to get up a good kick. And calling for the fair catch is Murray. Murray has a little bit of trouble feeling the ball, but does finally down it at the Winchester 32.
Well, Drew, that ball kicked very high, and you can see that the sun is playing a factor in some of the receivers' eyes at this end of the field. That time, Mike Murray, a little problem at the beginning, but he was able to cover up the football. And the Sachems now have a good field position, the ball resting at their own 32-yard line.
And they do have plenty of time to see it. Over 4.5 minutes left to play in the first half. Winchester enjoying a 14-7 lead. Split to the near side is Mark Shaw out of the wishbone. And this is Cromwell. Cromwell exploding for first down, close to first down yardage, a pickup of about 7. And there you saw a good speed that time, an example of the speed of Darren Cromwell.
Darren Cromwell just simply follows his blockers. Once he sees the hole, he is gone. And here we have it on instant replay. Watch Cromwell as he comes towards you on the screen, able to pick up, as you said, Drew, 7 yards before he was being brought down by number 61. That is Gary Bua, and he is one of the captains, and we've called his number an awful lot this afternoon.
He's one of those captains, Mark. He's a 6'3", 222-pound senior, Gary Bua, one of the outstanding linebackers, and there's 2 of them on that Peabody Tanner field. They usually play a 5-2 defense. It's a 2nd down and 7. Handoff this time, good for a couple of yards. Cromwell with the call.
And Drew, you touched on Christoph Verhagen about the soccer team earlier, and folks can look for him on the basketball court in addition to some of these football players, as Mark Shaw, a very good player for the Sachem basketball team.
Mark Shaw is a good player. I've seen him play down at Ginn Field there in Winchester. Loves to play the game. We're going to have a measurement now. See just how close we are to that first down. John DeMarco coming over to make sure everything's done according to specs. It's going to be hard to see, but DeMarco says it's good, and it is. 1st and 10 for the Sachems.
A big first down for the Sachems, as you said, Drew. The ball is resting now at the Sachem 44-yard line. We'll make that about the 43. However, more important, the clock with 3:37 remaining to play in the first half still has time to get this drive and keep it going and maybe get some more points on the board before the first half ends.
Now out of the eye, the option, this time out to Cromwell. Cromwell again with some blocks, and it's all green in front of him. And there he goes, Darren Cromwell.
What can you say, Drew? Darren Cromwell just having an outstanding football game. If you look back on the field on the near side, a player is shaken up for the Tanners, but Darren Cromwell just showing excellent speed as he outraced everyone to the corner of that end zone. Here you'll see it on instant replay. Now watch Darren Cromwell. John DeMarco will receive the snap. He pitches out to Cromwell. Cromwell able to turn the corner and break it all the way up the left sideline, taking it all the way for 6 points. And there you see the Tanners, but it's too late right there. And out of frustration, the Tanner kicks the ball away from Cromwell after he set it down. But hey, the Sachems get another touchdown. 20-7 now in favor of Winchester, and they will go for the conversion.
Well, as you said, Mark, there's a Peabody Tanner down on the field. There you see him. I haven't got any number identification yet, but he is visibly shaken and not moving very much as he's being attended to.
Well, Drew, we saw the Peabody Tanners jump out to that early 7-0 lead, and I said it at the time that the Sachems are a comeback team, and they have certainly not proven me wrong today, I can say, in the fact that they have scored and put 20 points on the board since the 7-0 lead for the Tanners.
Well, Scott Hatfield, the senior 6'2", 200-pounder, being helped off the field, shaken up a little bit, is his Tanner coaching staff helping him out.
And of course, Hatfield, in addition to his defensive duties, is also the punter for these Peabody Tanners. It's kind of ironic that the Sachems should drop behind 7-0 to a Tanner football team and then come back the next week. Same thing happens in the Super Bowl. Of course, the Woburn Tanners and Peabody Tanners.
And DeMarco with the hold. And Shaw sails it. Incomplete, or no good. It's wide to the left, and that wind is having a serious effect on Mark Shaw's kicking game.
It is, Drew, and the Sachems now have a 20-7 lead. Here you see the extra point, and we get a good shot right there from our end zone camera. Shaw's kick, he pulls it to the left, and so the Sachems now have a 13-point lead with 3:14 remaining to play in the first half. The Sachems' Mark Shaw will be kicking the ball to the Tanners. And back to receive for the Tanners in the near part of your screen, or number 24, and that is John Wojcik. And at the top of your screen with the basketball sneakers, that is number 36.
26, Tom Pasillo. These guys have had a lot of practice today, fielding kicks. Shaw has kicked it away. This will be his fourth kick of the day. Drive that time, 68 yards in 3 plays. Took a minute 25, and the touchdown came on a 57-yard run by Darren Cromwell. And this is a squib kick by Shaw, but able to be picked up by Pasillo. Pasillo able to push it out across the 35-yard line down to about the 36.
Well, the Sachem defense getting a good rest here in the second quarter, Drew, as the Sachem offense has had the ball for a number of minutes, so they are well rested. And the Tanner defense has been out on the field. Here you'll see the kickoff return once again, as Shaw got set to kick the ball away. It was touched by one of the up men, and then you'll see it fielded there. And taken back for a short game. But back to the action right now.
Back to live action. Staunton looking to pass, but incomplete to Hatfield. Hatfield tried a little curl pattern out to about the 50-yard line, and defender that time, number 83, Vinny Benincasa.
Scott Hatfield apparently not shaken up too badly. He's back in for the Tanners. Incomplete pass will make it 2nd down and 10, and the ball resting at the 35-yard line of the Tanners.
Well, Mark, you commented about the defensive unit of the Sachems getting a lot of rest, and that could come to haunt these Tanners late in the game if Winchester is able to have a lot of fresh players. It is 2nd down and 10, and this is Lee Miller, and Miller stopped after a pickup of short yardage, maybe 2 yards on the play.
Number 23, Rich Burke, in on the stop for the Sachems. And you saw that time the Sachem defense stacking up that line right in the front, in the middle there. And that time Cullen tried to get to the outside, unable to do so for any substantial gain. He did pick up 3 yards, or rather 4 yards, so it will be a 3rd down and 6 now for the Tanners.
The ball resting at the Peabody 38-yard line. Staunton with a tough 3rd down conversion here. Could be looking for a pass, but a quick pass out to Hatfield. Hatfield now with a flea flicker, looking downfield, and a great defensive play by Mark Shaw. Intended receiver was number 30, Pat Cullen, and what a gadget play that was, Mark.
The old flea flicker, and that time the Tanners almost came up with it, but they forgot about one player out in that flat, and that is Mark Shaw. Mark Shaw with his second big play. Here we'll see on the instant replay, Mark Shaw, as Hatfield gets the pass from the quarterback Staunton, goes downfield, and it falls incomplete. And you see that pretty much tells how the Tanners feel. But now the Tanners forced to kick the ball away. 2:13 remaining to play in the first half. Sachem's out on top.
Deep men are
20-7.
Mike Murray on the near side, Scott Garvey far side. And this is Hatfield, a couple of steps, and this will go to Murray. Murray, again, having trouble fielding the ball, will have to down it at his own 15-yard line. It looked as if the Sachems were looking to set up a reverse that time, Mark. And we can look back on the season and see that reverse for the Sachems has not been real successful.
That's right, Drew. Games that they had tried that and it was not successful, more notably, were the Melrose game and the Wakefield game. And when you have a big lead, as big a lead as the Sachems do, I would think that they just want to be very conservative in what they do with the football and try and grind it out, taking this lead into the locker room at halftime.
Well, they definitely have plenty of field in which to do that grinding, Mark, and 2:02 left in the first half. Winchester out in front, 20-7. And should be an offside that time against Peabody, but a good pickup out of the option as Dan Costello takes the handoff.
Well, Drew, number 72 for the Tanners, and a name I think is perfect for football, Mike Rock. And he's built like a rock. Mike Rock is 6'3", 220 pounds. And that time, Mike Rock was a movable object and able to jump off sides that time, unfortunately for he and the Tanners. And the Sachems now will take the yardage assessed and have the ball out to about their own 20-yard line.
Well, it'll bring up a first down and 5, and that's even more important, Mark, because the Sachems get the replay, plus they get the good yards. From about their own 20, the Sachems, first down and 5. This is a little cross up for Cromwell, and Cromwell is stacked up.
Good stop that time by Pat Cullen, and Pat Cullen showing his defensive skills right there. Of course, he's the outstanding running back for the Tanners, but also calls the signals for the Tanner defense.
Second down and 3.
Clock is running. Minute 20 left to play in the first half. And Mark, the Sachems have to be very pleased, well, with the play of their special teams, but a little bit concerned with the play of their offense. They've struggled just a little bit here in the first half. Second down and 3. And a quick handoff to Dan Costello, good for the first down.
We touched on the fact that the Sachem offense was not having the kind of first halves that they are accustomed to, in that they have put a number of points on the board, but with a little more difficulty than it has taken them before. I think what you're going to see this afternoon is the fact that the Sachem offense has to go to a number of different players, and there we saw Danny Costello pick up the first down. Darren Cromwell, just one of many players that are valuable to the Sachems.
First and 10, pitch out to Cromwell. Cromwell able to break some tackles again and has good footage, fumbles the ball out of bounds, and that will be close to midfield. Darren Cromwell running very, very good this afternoon.
Very good run by Darren Cromwell, and you saw a very smart thing on his part, and that is most coaches, good coaches, will tell you to carry that football to the left, in the left hand as you go up the left sideline, so if there is a fumble, you can do it. Watch it here on the instant replay. He has the ball in his left hand, and when he's knocked out of bounds, the ball goes out of bounds. It doesn't come back into the field of play. So a smart play that time for the Sachems, and they have moved the ball out now to the 50-yard line. 25 seconds left in the first half.
The ball right at the midfield stripe, and this is where DeMarco will take over out of the eye. And again with the pitch out to Cromwell. Cromwell has some blocks. And now with the burst of speed, able to get out for the first down, out of bounds to stop the clock with 17 seconds left.
Well, Drew, you saw a little hesitation move that time, and in his wake, the Tanners have a few injured players on the ground, but the Darren Cromwell, watch us, he has the little hesitation move. He gets around the corner, and then he kind of draws them in, and then bing, turns on the afterburners, as they say, and races for a good pickup of another 10 yards after that. And the ball now, a pickup of about 18 yards in the play. They moved the ball from the 50 down to the Tanner 32-yard line.
And now with a timeout on the field, Winchester looking to set things up. 17 seconds left to play, Mark. First down and 10. The ball resting at the Peabody 31-yard line. We will be back with first half action, more first half action right after this.
There's a childhood cancer treatment clinic at the Massachusetts General Hospital. The Charlie Davidson Leukemia Fund helps support the clinic, and it provides for some extras for the children. 100% of your contribution benefits the children at the clinic. I know because I've been going there for 6 years. The fund could do more with your help. Please help Charlie's friends keep fighting. Please give to the Charlie Davidson Leukemia Fund.
Okay, there it is. 17 seconds left to play in the first half. Winchester out in front 20-17. Dan Costello, Mark, they just flashed it up on the Diamond Vision. 6 carries this afternoon, 20 yards. And so far for our good friend John DeMarco, 2 attempts, 2 completions, 46 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a good ratio of touchdowns to passes.
And on the Peabody side of the football, Scott Cullen, 9 carries for 48 yards, so he is having a good first half. The problem is the Sachems have been on the field more so. Lee Miller, number 31, 4 carries for 23 yards.
So from the 32-yard line, 17 seconds left to play. It's 1st and 10 for the Sachems. And now DeMarco looking to pass right across the middle, but in and out of the hands of number 30, and that is Pat Cullen. And DeMarco that time looked like maybe it might have been a broken play, but he was trying to set things up to his intended receiver, Mike Murray.
Well, John DeMarco looking over the middle, and John DeMarco, an outstanding passer for the Sachems. That time, though, threw into a little too much traffic. And number 30, as you said, Pat Cullen able to bat the ball down. Almost came up with an interception.
Well, it's a 2nd down and 10. There's 12 seconds left to play. His clock is stopped on the incomplete pass. And now out of the eye, Sachems with that option. Here comes Cromwell.
Cromwell gets the call.
Darren was hit from behind, but he was able to break away. Timeout quickly called by a Winchester Sachems with 4 seconds left to play.
And Darren Cromwell that time, Drew, you saw anything to get more yardage. Spun his way around, dove, and was able to pick up a short gain. There you see on your clock, Sachems 20, Peabody 7, and just 4 seconds remaining to play in the first half. The Sachems have the ball inside the Peabody 30-yard line, mark it at the 29. And there you get a good shot of Vinny Benincasa, number 83, Mark Shaw, number 80. Also Rhett Moody, number 81, and John DeMarco. They have all talked things over with Coach Manny Marshall. DeMarco and Moody back on the field. And now the Sachems will go for their last offensive possession, I would say, Drew, of the first half.
It is 4 seconds left to play, and that has been a touchdown connection all year. DeMarco to Benincasa. 3rd down and 7. Draw play to Cromwell. Cromwell just letting it work now for him, able to get the first down, but out of bounds, and that is the end of the first half. And there you hear the Winchester Sachem crowd yelling for their team. Their team is out in front, 20-7. And we do have an instant replay of that last play, Mark. Here it is.
And Darren Cromwell fights his way through the line right there, able to break outside. However, not enough room before number 24 for the Tanners, John Wojcik, able to come back and make the stop for the Tanners, stopping him short of any touchdown possibility. So the Sachems with a big first half. They were down 7-0, have come back to post 20 unanswered points, and now lead at the half by the score of 20-7.
You know, Mark, you talked about Darren Cromwell using his heads that time. That was a great example of it. He knew he didn't have much time. He knew he didn't have enough space to get the touchdown, so he headed straight for the end zone, but didn't be able to get it. And there you see your halftime score. It is 20-7, not first quarter. It's first half. Winchester on top, 20-7. We will be back with second half action after these messages. You're going to want to stay tuned, folks. It's going to be a great game.
There. No, Joey. Not there. It's not fun ice. You put it at the wrong end. See, it's UNICEF. UNICEF. They're the people who make all those pretty greeting cards and use the money to help little kids all over the world stay healthy and happy.
Okay, Dennis, then let's remind our folks to buy Fun Ice cards this year.
No, Joey, UNICEF. UNICEF cards, Joey.
Okay, at halftime, everybody, Winchester enjoying a 20-7 lead. And Mark, it's been an exciting first half. It's been a pretty evenly matched first half, but there's been a lot of big plays, good plays by the defensive, or the special teams of the Winchester Sachems. And I know you have a copy of the statistics. You've been looking them over. Why don't you recap the scoring in the first half for everybody?
Well, in the first half, of course, Drew, the Peabody Tanners started out on the high note and would prove to be a lot of low notes after that. But the Tanners got on the board as they had a touchdown with Ted Staunton completing a pass to Lee Miller in the corner, or rather the back of the end zone, and that was 13 plays, 80 yards, and took 5 minutes, 17 seconds. Of course, Staunton added the extra point. It was 7-0. Things looked very good for the Tanners and their fans early on, but then the Sachems would come back. The Sachems posted 20 unanswered points on touchdowns by Cromwell. Also, Vinny Benincasa sandwiched in there with a touchdown pass as well. Cromwell added the final touchdown, makes it 20-7. That's where we stand at halftime, and now we're almost set for the beginning of the second half.
And we are set for the beginning of the second half, and we will go down to the field for second half of the Division I Super Bowl from Foxborough, Mass. And second half, there are the Peabody captains. There's your score, 20-7, Winchester out in front. And Mark, you and I talked about the different plays throughout the game and the fact that it has been pretty much a one-sided show for Winchester. And Mark, Darren Cromwell with 12 carries for 130 yards. 133 yards.
That's right, too. Also chipping in for the Sachems with 25 yards. Danny Costello on just 7 carries. So the Sachem offense ground game is looking very sharp in the early going. As we take a look at some of the stats for the Peabody Tanners, well, they have Pat Cullen, who has carried the football, their top back, 10 times for 51 yards, good for a 5.1 yard average. Also Lee Miller with a 5.8 yard average. He has gained 23 yards on the ground. But the story has really been the Sachem special teams, and that was what helped the Sachems get back into this ball game, and then, of course, take the big lead. Also, though, you have to give a lot of credit to Darren Cromwell and Vin Benincasa, two of the bigger players as far as what they've done for this team all season long in point production, and they have come through once again this afternoon. So we're all set for the start of the second half action, and we will switch roles a bit. I will be taking the play-by-play for the rest of the ball game, and Drew Bolden will be providing the color. There you get a good shot of the Peabody Tanners and Coach Ed Nizwantowski, and the Peabody Tanners coming into this ball game, as we said, undefeated at 10-0-0, so they are not used to losing football games, and right now they are 13 points down, but we still have another half of football to play here at Sullivan Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Temperature's gone down maybe 3 degrees, and temperature somewhere in the mid-30s by right now, which is about 2:25 in the afternoon. Of course, it will be getting cooler. Back to receive, as the Sachems were the ones who kicked the ball away in the first half, will be
it's Murray and Garvey deep for the Sachems, Mark, and Staunton, of course, will kick it off.
And Staunton victimized by the ball blowing off the tee. There is a swirling wind down in that field, and that's due in part to the structure of this stadium. Of course, that wind whips through the 2 end zones, and very high up along the sidelines is the stands. But Staunton with the ball staying in one place, kicks the ball off. It's a low kick, and it is fielded, or rather it goes through the hands of Garvey, and it will roll into the end zone, and the Sachems get a break there as they will down it and take the ball 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line to start the second half.
Well, Mark, the break there was the fact that the ball rolled into the end zone. Otherwise, the Sachems would have been stuck deep into their own territory. As it stands now, they're pushed out to the 20-yard line, so it was a good heads-up play that time by the receiver, Mike Murray.
And Scott Garvey, we saw with a great return in the first half, which helped set up one of those Sachem touchdowns. Scott Garvey, only a sophomore, and has done very well for the Sachems this season. All right, coming to the line, we'll have the wishbone formation used so effectively this season by the Sachems, as John DeMarco has a number of backs in the backfield. The handoff is to the first man through, and that is number 22, Dan Costello. The Sachems using the ground game very effectively in the first half. They also mixed it up a bit and used a few passes, Drew.
Well, for the most part, Winchester has kept it on the ground, Mark, and their running game would indicate that they are on net yards rushing. It is 158 to 74 in favor of the Sachems. So that running game, and in particular the running game of Darren Cromwell, have been very effective.
Second down now for the Sachems, the I formation, 2nd down and 9. And Cromwell under heavy pressure gets the ball off to Cromwell. Darren trying to turn around left side, able to do so down along the sideline and knocked out of bounds at about the 28-yard line. We could have a late hit also on the play.
Well, there are penalty markers on the field, but you have to really like a guy like Darren Cromwell. And here comes the replay right here. DeMarco takes the snap, pitches it right out to Cromwell. Cromwell, look at those steps right there, Mark. He's able to get across there and just pushed out of bounds. And there's the late hit right there. What a cheap shot that was, Mark. That should be more than a 15-yard penalty.
And that late hit, Drew, was by number 73, Kelly Craig. And they have been assessed the penalty yardage, and that will move the Sachems out to the Winchester 47-yard line. Sachems now with a 1st down and 10 with great field position. And they go back to the wishbone formation. Here is the handoff once again to Costello, and Danny able to churn his way across midfield inside the 50-yard line down to about the 49 of the Peabody Tanners.
Well, they've been mixing it up all day. They're bringing out the Cromwell with the great speed outside, and then when they need the tough yards off the gut, they'll give it to Danny Costello, and that was the case there, Mark, as Costello's been getting a lot of calls all afternoon.
So the Sachems come to the line, 2nd down and 7. And the handoff is to, I'm not sure the number, I think it was number 18, Mike Murray. And Murray able to pick up a yard, maybe 2. So we'll call it 3rd down now. And they say 7 yards to go for the 1st down. Peabody Tanners, Drew, showing us good defense.
They have, Mark, but one thing we want to take care of some business real quick. The rights to this broadcast have been granted by the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association. We don't have time to go all that, but so after the next play, we'll make sure we get that in for them.
I formation for the Sachems. 3rd down and 6. The ball resting in midfield. Here is Cromwell trying to get around the right side. He's getting close to that 1st down marker, but he's just short. Brought down on the play that time by number 30 for the Tanners, and that is Pat Cullen.
Well, Cullen did a good job getting in there on that defense. And here's the replay, Mark. You see DeMarco pitches out to Cromwell again. Cromwell now looking for the corner, has some room, and Cullen comes in, strides with about the knees and strips him down, and with a great open field tackle by Pat Cullen.
Well, you saw a matchup of 2 quality players that time, Drew, and 2 of the stars for these teams in Cullen and Cromwell going head-to-head. And that time, I think they came up just about even. Cromwell able to pick up 5 yards, but Cullen with a great tackle to stop him then. We have a flag now on the field, and it will be delay of game on the Sachems.
That's right. And Mark, the rights to this broadcast have been granted by the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association. They represent 355 senior high schools across the Commonwealth and over 155,000 boys and girls who participate annually in MIAA-governed athletic competition. Any rebroadcast or replication of the program without the written consent of the MIAA is strictly prohibited.
So now the Sachems, faced with a 4th down and 8, will punt the football. John Massel standing back at his own 37-yard line. And the kick is up. It is going to be taken by the wind down it for the Sachems, and knocking out of bounds was number 17, Paul Amico. So the Tanners will have good field position to start their first drive of the second half. Well, and the ball will be resting at their own 28-yard line, 1st and 10.
Well, the drive stalled a little bit that time for the Sachems, but again, good coverage by the special teams. Number 17, Paul Amico, he's a junior, able to get down there and cover it up pretty well for the Sachems and pin the Tanners back deep into their own territory.
So the Peabody Tanners will come to the line now. They will go from the I formation. In motion, number 42, that is Hatfield. Here is the handoff, though, to their captain, and that is Pat Cullen. And Cullen Drew in the first half had a good first half, however, not good enough to put more points on the board than the Sachems. He had a 5.1 yard average, 51 yards gained in the first half on 10 carries. Moves the ball out to the 30-yard line, pickup of 2 now, and 2nd down and 8.
Well, Mark, I think it's important to point out, Pat Cullen, although he is a power runner, his longest run of the day so far has been an 11-yarder early in the second quarter.
Once again, Hatfield is in motion, number 42. Staunton dropping back to pass under heavy pressure, and the ball is batted down. In on the play that time for the Sachems, number 27, George Nowell, number 73, Mike Vizella, and also number 75, Big Dave Carter.
Well, Mark, we'll have a replay here. George Nowell, folks in Winchester will know kind of football he's been playing, in particular on Thanksgiving Day. There was 3 plays in a row he did that. Here's the replay. Staunton comes in, and it's somewhat of a long count, comes in, a lot of pressure now, and there's number 27, gets his hand up in there. Great play by George Nowell.
And back to the field of action. 3rd down and 8 now. Here is Hatfield trying to do the reverse. He's looking for someone downfield. He's going to keep it, and he is pursued heavily by the Sachem defense. Richie Burke and George Nowell able to knock him out of bounds at about the 37-yard line of Peabody.
Well, Mark, I think they were trying to set up that time. I think Hatfield was trying to set up that flea flicker that worked so well for him in the first half. But now they didn't work out, and Art Gordon and Richie Burke, while Gordon was down covering the receiver, he did a good job, and Burke was right on top of Hatfield.
And it will bring it down up a 4th down and 3 rather. And the Tanners now will be forced to kick. The ball is resting at the 35-yard line. Back for the Sachems is Cromwell. Here is the kick, and also Mike Murray, but the Tanners are going to down it. Number 26 for the Tanners, Tom Pacillo. In on the play for the Tanners, and the Sachems now will take over 1st down and 10, the ball at their own 23-yard line.
Now, Mark, a nice punt that time by Peabody, able to push the ball down about the 20-yard line. The ball will be about the 22.
So neither team able to do much on their first drives of the second half, and the Sachems will take over with their second possession, the ball resting at their own 22-yard line. Into the ball game for the Sachems are Rhett Moody and Vin Benincasa. They are split wide left and wide right. You see the Tanner defense digging in. Here is DeMarco electing to keep the ball on the option, rolls to his left for a pickup of maybe 2 yards, gets the ball out to the 24-yard line.
Well, DeMarco that time, Mark, trying to set it up for that option. And with the good penetration by the Tanners, able to punch across that line of scrimmage and just trip DeMarco up before he had a chance to pitch it out.
Pickup of 2, 2nd down and 8 now for the Sachems. They lead in this ball game by the score of 20-7, 6-12 remaining to play in the 3rd quarter. DeMarco working out of the wishbone formation. There's the handoff to Costello. Costello puts his arms around it and barrels his way forward for a pickup of maybe 3 yards. Gets the ball out to the pickup of about 5 yards. Gets the ball out to the 30-yard line.
You know, Costello doing a real good job. We talked about him, Mark, just getting those tough yards. That time he ran right off his tackle, able to pick up and spin for you for good yardage, good short yardage to bring up a 3rd down and 3.
There you see the time remaining in your clock in the 3rd quarter on your screen. And now Cromwell is the deep back in the Sachem backfield. The Tanner defense drawn up, but they get back. Here's Mike Murray going around left side. Mike Murray across the 30, 35, 40, 45, knocked out of bounds at about the 50-yard line. Number 24 for the Peabody Tanners in on the stop was John Wojcik.
Well, Mark, when we get that replay up, we'll get to see exactly what happened. That Peabody Tanner team, they jumped offside. You might not see them. They're back set. No, there they go. They're jumping offside. DeMarco doing a good job. And then he just shifts the play the other way. It's a reverse out to Murray. Murray with a lot of room. And finally just pushed out of bounds. Great job that time. A good call when they just reversed the action of the ball.
And you saw the speed of Mike Murray exemplified beautifully there. Mike able to go around the corner and really turn on the Jets. There you see an injured player for the Peabody Tanners. And is number 63 for the Tanners. And then is Jeff Caron, 5'8", 170-pound senior guard and nose tackle on this Peabody football team. And Drew, you know, when you have teams with a number of running backs, of course, they're going to use that running game, and that's what the Sachems have. They have a number of capable running backs. We've seen it all season long. Players like Aaron West, Art Gordon, also Dan Costello, Mike Murray, and Darren Cromwell, of course, is the one that gets most recognition, it seems, in the headlines, but these players also contribute. And Danny Costello, getting back to him for only a moment, Danny Costello exemplifies to me the typical fullback. He just puts both hands on that football and he grinds out those 2 or 3 yards. And as we said, he comes into this ball game with over 4.3 yards averaged for the season.
Peabody Tanners have to be concerned right now, Mark. That's Jeff Karen. He's coming up. He's still a little ginger right now. He's going to have to come off the field. We saw Hatfield come off the field in the first quarter. Fortunately enough, he was able to come back and play, and he's still in the game now. But this Tanner team is starting to be riddled a little bit by injuries.
Well, we talked about it earlier, and that the play of the line play this afternoon would be a critical factor in the outcome of this ball game. Then you get a shot of the Winchester cheerleaders, a number of fans for the Sachems in attendance, as they are for Peabody as well. But we have a first down and 10 now. The ball on the 47-yard line. DeMarco looking to pass, throws it up over the middle. Benincasa is open, and it goes through his hands. And on the coverage that time, 42. Scott Hatfield, the number 24, John Wojcik for the Tanners.
Well, Benincasa that time was covered well. DeMarco laid the ball in very nicely, and Benincasa just couldn't hang on to it in and out of his hands. It would have gone for a big play. I don't think it would have been a touchdown because there was a good coverage, but it was a very good call that time on the part of the Sachems.
In any event, it brings up a second down and 10 now. No gain on the play, of course. Sachems working out of the I formation. Here is DeMarco rolling right, electing to keep the football, and he is brought down at about the 50-yard line by number 34 for the Tanners, and that is Mark Jones.
You know, Mark, when you look at these first half stats, it's not that one-sided so far. 8 first downs for Peabody, 9 for Winchester. But total yards, 92 for Peabody, 204 for Winchester. So Winchester moving the ball very well on a couple of big plays, and the score would indicate that.
Third down and 7 from midfield. There's a fumble, but DeMarco able to, the ball was stripped, and the Peabody Tanners recover. Number 34 in on the stop for the Tanners, Mark Jones, and able to pounce on that football. And a big turnover at midfield gives the Tanners great field position.
Well, that's been a little bit of trouble for John DeMarco. We saw it earlier today and also earlier in the season, is that snap from center. John is really upset with himself right now, but it's going to be a chance for that Winchester defense to really prove what they're made of the first time they've been on the field here in the second half.
Working out of the I formation is Peabody. Staunton is the quarterback. He has Miller and Cullen in the backfield. The handoff to the second man through, and stopped at the line of scrimmage was number 31, Lee Miller. And a great play that time by the Sachem defense. Among the many players involved, Dave Carter, number 75. Also George Nowell, number 27.
You know, Carter went out a little bit earlier, too, in the first quarter with an injury. He's back, and back in good form. Look at that helmet on him, Mark. It's nothing but yellow. He's chipped away all the paint on that. He's a tough hitter.
So no gain on the play. Second down and 10. The ball just inside the 50-yard line of Peabody. Here is the swing to number 30. That is Cullen. Cullen breaks across the midfield stripe and falls down at about the 20, or rather the 47-yard line.
That was a good tackle that time. Cullen just trying to slice back against the blocks, and finally just tripped up right across the line of scrimmage. So it was a good play.
A pickup,
a lucky play, I think.
A pickup of 3 yards on the play, and it will bring up a third down and 7. A big play for the Sachems right here, as they will be trying to stop this Tanner offense. Here now Staunton swinging it the other way, and it's to Lee Miller. Miller across the 45 to the 40, picks up the first down and is knocked out of bounds at about the 36-yard line. But it's good for a Tanner first down, as I said, and the Tanners now, Drew, moving the football.
Well, they're able to put it together. They got got possession of the ball in good field position. Here you see Cullen now. He's just running for whatever he can get. He's got first down yardage now, and finally pushed out of bounds at about the 35-yard line, the Winchester 35.
It's tough to see the numbers up here. That was, in fact, Cullen. In motion is number 42, Hatfield. The handoff, though, goes to Cullen up the middle, and Cullen fights his way across the 30-yard line down to about the 27.
You know, Winchester's going to have to be real careful right now, Mark. If Pat Cullen gets in his stride, he's got over 1,400 yards on the season. He's got 24 touchdowns. If he gets in his stride, the Sachems could be in trouble because they definitely are moving right now, the ball inside the Sachem 30-yard line.
Well, we're inside 2.5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. The Sachems still have a 20-7 lead. However, the Tanners are driving. The ball resting at the Sachem 29-yard line. And the Tanners using that I formation, running the left side. Here once again with the call is Cullen. Cullen able to pull his way down to the 24.
Well, that's again first down yardage. Cullen he's a little slow getting up, but I don't think that's because he's hurt, although he's asking to come out of the game right now. He's getting into his stride, as is this Tanner offense. They're really starting to move the ball right now.
Cullen picks up another Tanner first down. The ball resting just inside the 25-yard line of the Sachems. And we have come to the 2-minute mark. We are inside 2 minutes to play in the third quarter. Here's the handoff once again in the backfield. Brought down is Lee Miller by the Sachem defense. In on the stop for the Sachems, Artie Gordon, along with George Nowell. And we've seen the Sachems quite often on defense bending but not breaking this season, Drew.
Well, they just strung it out that time. And Scott Cullen even came over from his tackle position, able to get into it. Or actually, Cullen is a nose guard, so he was really out of position that time.
Well, it was a loss and 2 on that play, so second down and 12 now. Tanners with a split backfield. Hatfield in motion. Here's Staunton looking for Hatfield. Has him open at the 22-yard line. It's complete and brought down immediately by Vinny Benincasa and a number of other Sachems. Was Hatfield. Still, Drew, the Tanners mixing it up a bit, able to pick up a few more yards.
Well, they've used that before where they split Hatfield over. We saw it work for a flea flicker for good yardage. We also saw Pat Cullen able to pick up yards as they just fling it out back there parallel with the line of scrimmage. So they are mixing the plays up, but good read that time by the defense.
Pick up a 4 and make it third down and 8 now. Here is the pitch out to Miller. Miller doesn't have any place to go in the backfield. He's brought down by number 73, Mike Vizella.
Well, Mark, there it is. 28 seconds left to play in the third quarter. This is probably the drive for Peabody. If they're going to stay in this ball game, they need to score on this possession. And right now, the Sachems are saying, no way. You're not going to score. And they're running it right up the middle. Mike Vizella being very instrumental, big number 73, in helping stop those Tanners.
And Mike Vizella, the topic of a number of the scouts at halftime, talking about his outstanding play in addition to the other Sachems on this football field. Here now is the official coming in. 4th down and 9 is the situation, and that is because the third quarter has run out. And the Sachems still have a 20-7 lead.
You know, Mark, I just said it. This is a big drive for the Tanners. That ball is sitting at about the 29-yard line. Staunton's doing a pretty good job passing so far. 5 completions on 9 attempts for 42 yards and 1 touchdown. So Peabody right now is pretty much able to do what they're going to have to do, and that's going to move that ball against the Sachems. The Winchester, on the other hand, they're getting fired up play from their interior line, and their secondary's been tough all day. And there's the score, 20-7. We will be back with fourth quarter action right after this.
There's just nothing like the great outdoors.
It's a corner of America, a picture from our past. It's quiet towns and rolling hills where time slows down at last.
The spirit of Massachusetts is the spirit of America. The spirit of the red, white, and blue. The spirit of Massachusetts is the spirit of America. The spirit that we want to share with you.
For your free Massachusetts vacation kit, call 1-800-624-MASS.
And welcome back to fourth quarter action in the Division I High School Super Bowl. This is, of course, Super Bowl 15. The Sachems leading 20-7, but more importantly, 4th down and 9 situation facing the Tanners of Peabody. Here now is Staunton. He's going to hold the ball and put it up over the middle. It's complete. And very close, but short of the first down.
Mark, we also have a penalty. There's a couple of Winchester Sachems on the ground, and I think it could possibly be a holding call or it looks like it may go against Winchester.
That seems to be the indication on the reception that time for the Tanners.
No indication yet.
Number
Mark.
88, Tom Cares, I believe.
We're still waiting for an indication, Mark, but it does look like it is going to be against the Sachems. So that will bring a first down yardage for the Tanners.
The Sachems did a good job of holding him prior to getting that first down. However, the penalty now will give the Tanners a first down and goal, or check that, a first down and 10 from inside the 15-yard line. Ball marked at the 14 for the Tanners.
Holding call against the Sachems that time, Mark.
So the Tanners with 4 new downs to work with, and they give it up the middle. Cullen on the carry, and Cullen gets inside the 10-yard line down to about the 8-yard line.
No, you know, Cullen that time, Mark, number 30, carried the ball that time and did a good job. You're going to read that. They line up in the eye. They have a short yardage situation, or inside their own, inside the 10 for a touchdown. What are they going to do? They're going to put it right up the middle.
Second down and 5. Tanners hand off left side this time. And picking up good yardage once again in tight was number 31, Lee Miller.
You know, and if they mark that ball any nearer to the goal line in the 4-yard line, that's going to be a first and 10 for Peabody. And it's going to be a third down in inches, actually.
Sachem defense faced with their toughest challenge this second half as the Tanners are knocking on the door. Third down and 1. Here is the handoff to Cullen. And Cullen is stacked up by the Sachem defense, very close to a first down. We'll have to wait and see what the officials say. No indication yet as to whether or not it is a first down. Well, and the official says it is. First down, Peabody.
I was about ready to say this could be probably the biggest play of the game by the defense. Here it is right here. Cullen right up the middle and getting good help that time. You see guys like Mark Shaw coming in from the secondary and just piling on, trying to stop that first down yardage, but it's not enough. It's a first down and goal.
First down and goal from the 3-yard line of Winchester. Here is the handoff to Cullen, and he is stopped at about the 2. The Sachem defense equal to the challenge on that play. 9:04 remaining to play in the game. The Sachems are leading by the score of 20-7. And Drew, the Tanner running game, has played very well here in the second half on this drive.
They really have, Mark, and that's something that they weren't able to do in the first half. Just 92 yards total offense in that first half, so it has to be kind of disappointing.
Here's the handoff to Cullen, and Cullen is stacked up once again by the Winchester defense. Johnny Masson in on the stop for the Sachems, along with a little help from his friends in Rich Burke and also Aaron West. So it will be third down and 1 from the Sachem 1. The Tanners with 3 backs in the backfield. A handoff to Cullen. Cullen is in for the touchdown. And now the Tanners trail by only 7, 20-13.
Well, Mark, if we get a chance to see that instant replay, again, you talk about bread and butter and going to your bread and butter player. Here it is from the end zone. Staunton, just 3 yards to go, hands it off to Cullen, and Cullen pounds his way in. A great job running the time by the senior. His 25th touchdown of the year.
So now the Tanners will be going for the extra point, and their quarterback Staunton is the kicker. Hatfield will hold. The snap is down, the kick is up. It's a low kick, and it is no good. The Tanners have missed on the extra point conversion, and the Sachems still lead by 7 points, 20-13.
You know, Mark, the game you and I called last week, we had 2 great kickers, Mark Shaw and Jim Duran. Peabody, a bit of a disadvantage today. They really don't have the kickers. Staunton having to come in. Here's the replay. You know, he gets a good snap, but there it is. It goes wide left. So it was high enough, but the ball, I mean, no accuracy on that kick at all.
So the Sachems have to feel very good about the fact that the Tanners could not get the extra point. Of course, now if the Sachems were not to score the rest of the afternoon and the Tanners got a touchdown, they would still have to kick the extra point to tie it and would have to go for the 2-point conversion to win it. So it does change the complexion of the game somewhat. However, the Sachems still lead in the ball game. We have 8 minutes and 10 seconds remaining to play here at Foxborough. The Sachems in front by the score of 20-13. Back to receive for the Sachems will be West and Garvey, and kicking off that gentleman right there who missed the field goal, or rather the extra point, Ted Staunton. It's a low kick, goes through the up man. Garvey will field it at his own 24, fumbles the football, and I believe Aaron West recovered. The ball resting at about the 21-yard line of the Sachems and drew almost a very costly mistake for the Sachems.
Well, Garvey, a sophomore, will learn in time that in a situation like that, the best thing that you can do is to cover that ball, because he tried to pick it up on the run and just about had to pay for it. He should have just covered it up, Mark.
So the Sachems had good kick returns throughout the first half and at the start of the second half, but on that particular occasion, they did not. The drive for the Tanners, 51 yards, 14 plays, took 7:04 to accomplish that feat, and 1-yard run by Cullen was the score. Here now are the Sachems. They pitched to Cromwell right side. Darren able to cut back through the middle. A good pickup out close to another first down. Knocked out of bounds at about the 30-yard line of Winchester.
Well, see, that's the way Darren likes to run, Mark. He likes to get those those blockers out in front of him. Here's the replay. Pitch out, a little high, but able to get it. And now he's just trying to weave his way through, but finally pushed out of bounds after a good pickup.
But again, Drew, you have to look at the way John DeMarco pitched that ball. He was just about met by a Tanner defender, and then he got the ball out. That is what you have to do. You have to pitch it at the last second for this type of play to work. If most defenses read it well, that is the only thing that will make the difference between a big gain or a short gain. There you get a good look at the Tanner defense, and they have played a good football game, given all of the weapons that the Sachems have in both their running and passing attacks. The MIAA Division I High School Super Bowl, Winchester versus Peabody. 2nd down and 2 from the 29, or rather the 30-yard line. Here is the handoff to number 18, Mike Murray, and Mike Murray hit hard that time. And on the stop was Pat Cullen for the Peabody Tanners.
Well, Murray, a 5'8", 155-pound senior. That time, Cullen, a much bigger ball player, able to put his shoulder into the legs and just knock him back.
There you get an idea just how many people are at the game today. A lot of people at today's ball game. I heard that they were talking estimates of 30,000 fans in attendance to see this high school showcase. So we have a 3rd down and short, 1 yard for the Sachem first down. And the handoff that time. There's a fumble, and Peabody has recovered on the Sachem 36-yard line.
Recovered by Peabody.
And that time, Danny Costello fumbled the football.
Costello, number 22, is the ball carrier.
Well, John Wojcik is fired up and has done a good job of firing up the Tanners. Here's the replay, Mark. It went off inside to Costello. Costello had the yardage, but then it just popped out of bounds, out of his hands, and Wojcik right there on top of it. I don't know, a closer angle might have showed that Costello was actually down on that play.
It appeared as if he was. However, they rule it a fumble. Peabody recovers. They have a slot back formation out of the eye. Here now is Staunton. He's going to put it up in the air looking, but he's going to be brought down in the backfield by Georgie now, number 27, and number 85, Johnny Matson, in on the play as well.
Well, a great play that time. They tried to do a play-action pass. Nowell and Matson read it very well, able to get good penetration into the backfield, and now grabbed onto that shirt and just spun Staunton down.
And I'll tell you can talk all you want about the Sachem defense, but watch the offense here.
Here's the replay. There's Staunton. He's out, and Nowell just has him, holds him up. Masson comes over, Vizela comes over, and snuffs him out. Loss of about 8 yards on the play.
I said the Sachem offense. Let me correct myself. I meant the defense. Defense has played outstanding the last 3 games. Here now are the Peabody Tanners. Staunton going to put it up again. This time brought down once again in the backfield. 64, Scott Cullen. And number 73, Mike Vizela in. And Ted Staunton, you saw him right there looking at the coach saying, what can I do? The Sachem defense is just too tough.
Well, Staunton showed a lot of poise there, just standing up, pumping the ball. Here's the replay, Mark. Drops back, play action, pumps the ball, looking downfield. nowhere. Scott Cullen, Mike Vizella in on the stop.
So now the Tanners are faced with a 3rd down and 29 from their own 48-yard line. Split wide right is Hatfield. In motion, number 30, Pat Cullen. Obvious passing situation. They're going to throw it out to the near side. And now Hatfield looking cross over the middle. He has a man open. It's complete to Staunton, the quarterback, number 20, and he gets the ball down inside the 35-yard line.
Well, Mark, what a big play that was, but keep in mind that wasn't even good enough for a 1st down, and good coverage. Here's the replay, the flea flicker, over to Hatfield. Hatfield drops back, and now he's throwing back to Staunton, and he's popped right there, and I can't see the number. It looks as if it might have even been George Nowell in on the stop.
That's right, Drew. George Nowell in on the stop, and now Peabody went from a 3rd and 29. They are now faced with a 4th down and 7, and inside of 5 minutes to go in the ball game, they have the I formation. Staunton's going to pass again. Looking for someone to pass to the Sachem defense, flushing him out of the pocket, and in on the stop, number 25, Aaron West.
Aaron West, he is probably the most unheralded player in the Middlesex League, and that time he may have just won the game for his team. Here's the replay, Mark. Coming right up. Winchester takes over on down. Staunton is upset with himself, and very well he should be. But here's the replay. Comes up, takes the snap, little play action, pump fake. Now he's trying to run it. He has some room now, but there he comes. He slips, and who was it? Aaron West come in for the tackle.
Sachem defense has played outstanding football all season long, but especially the last 4 games, Drew, and they have really come to play this afternoon. Now inside 5 minutes, the Sachems have the ball on their own 36-yard line, 1st and 10. Working out of the wishbone, here is the handoff to Danny Costello, and Costello for good yardage breaks the ball across the 40-yard line down to the 41. And now the Sachems, Drew, will be looking to run out the rest of that clock if they can.
Well, I think that's what they're going to have to do, Mark. And you know, the only common opponent that both of these teams have played is the Somerville Highlanders, and there was a nice article in a paper by talking to Emerson Dickey, see the clock running, and Emerson talked about the fact that the Winchester defense could be run against, but he hasn't seen a play for a long time. They've made big strides this season.
Here now is Darren Cromwell, and Cromwell with a nice hole gets through the middle and busts his way across the 45 down to about the 46-yard line. Make it the 45, 3rd down, or 3rd down and 2 for a Winchester 1st down.
You know, Mark, clock's running, and that's got to be the best thing that's happening for the Sachems right now is just let that thing click.
Sachems come to the line. 3rd down and 2, inside 3:35 to go in the ball game. Little movement by the Tanners. We do have the flea flicker. And open down the sideline or around the middle of the field is Mark Shaw. And the pass was overthrown that time by John DeMarco. And John DeMarco, Drew, took a good hit back here at the line of scrimmage.
Well, that time, again, just kind of a little flea flicker, Mark. Here it is. It's a play action. Inside handoff there to Cromwell. Cromwell gets popped good. DeMarco just airing it out, looking for Shaw. But Shaw overthrows him by probably 10 yards. Shows a good arm of John DeMarco.
That and combined with the wind that we had, I think it was part of the reason why that ball was so far overthrown, because John usually has a very accurate passing arm. And with the wind behind him, that time it sailed high.
Tough call,
4th down and 2 now for the Sachems. And Peabody jumped that time. We'll have to wait and see what the officials say, whether or not they were drawn off by the Sachems. Officials meeting at the center of the field. You see them right there.
Here's the replay, Mark. Maybe we can see what happened. Winchester set, and number 75, Dave Carter, moved a little prematurely. Illegal procedure is going to go against the Sachems.
And that was a big penalty for the Sachems as they were going on a 4th down and 2. Now they are faced with a 4th down and 7 situation, and the ball resting at their own 40-yard line. And Coach Manny Marshall and his staff have elected to have John Matson, fine kicker, punt the ball from inside his 30-yard line at the 27-yard line. Back just one person for Peabody, and that is Scott Hatfield. Masson able to get off a good punt, and Hatfield receives it at his 35, now going outside, trying to get to the 30-yard line, but he's brought down by number 17, Paul Amico.
Amico came down, contained Hatfield and just popped him, knocked his feet out from under him, and that's the best way to bring down a runner like Hatfield. Hatfield, 6'2", 200 pounds.
In any event, the Tanners have the football, and they certainly were looking to get one more crack at this Winchester defense, and they have it right now. Still plenty of time, 3 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in the ball game. And the Tanners have the ball at their own 28-yard line, 1st and 10. I formation for Peabody. And here is the pitch out near side to Cullen, and a nice block tackle that time by Aaron West. And he's really played outstanding these last 2 drives, Drew.
That was nothing but a fine open field tackle. Aaron West knew that the only person that Cullen had to beat was himself. He got down low, he stayed low, and popped Cullen. Here's the replay. Look at this. Cullen now rambling. Here's West down low. Boom, he's down.
Perfect tackle that time by Aaron West as he centered square on the belly of the runner and was able to find out which way he intended to go. Once he did, he put his helmet down, and as you said, Drew, tripped him up. And now the Tanners will go with 2nd down and 10. And once again, the Sachem defense equal to the task that time. Cullen tried the right side and was stopped on the play by number 23, Richard Burke.
You know, you're starting to see the shadows here creeping across the field of the Sullivan Stadium. The sun is at our backs. It's been a beautiful day, Mark, and hopefully the Sachems will be able to keep it intact right now, 20-13, and it'll be a nice, comfortable ride back to Winchester.
Well, we have a timeout on the field, and there you see the Winchester Sachem offense, or rather defense, excuse me, meeting with Coach Manny Marshall.
Once again, a well-rounded education is one that is not only academically oriented.
You know, Mark, during the year, the Sachems have averaged 279 total yards per game, and that's a pretty good average. They've allowed only 189 yards, and that's total offense, so that's pretty good. Now, you look at Peabody, the same statistic, and it's not listed, so I can't make that comparison. But Peabody's been a good team as well. Cullen, a 1,400-yard plus back. And, of course, Lee Miller having a good season as a junior with 119 carries for 513 yards on the season.
There you see the offense for the Tanners as they come to the line. They are faced with a 3rd down and 8 situation. The ball resting at their own 30-yard line. 2:19 remaining to play in the ball game. Hatfield is in motion, number 42. Here is Staunton handing off to Cullen and brought down in the backfield for a loss was Cullen. And once again, a matchup of Cullens and the Winchester Cullen winning out.
You know, I'd be interested to know if those two guys are related. I don't know at this point. But Scott Cullen, here's the replay. He's playing a nose guard. He handles his man, peels him off, and pops him down, and that's it. That's the way to play that nose guard position. Clock is running, Mark.
The clock is running. We are inside of 2 minutes to play in the ball game. Inside to about 1:47 and ticking now. 4th down and 11 for the Tanners. The Tanners are set up in punt formation. However, Drew, there is no one back for the Sachems, and we knew why right there as Lee Miller got the call. Fumble on the play. Number 73, Mike Vizella on the reception or the recovery for the Sachems, and that could seal it, Drew.
There he is, Richard Burke. He's got to love it. He's a senior. He's the leader of that defense. And you have to hand it to Manny Marshall and to everybody. That was a fake punt. Nobody believed it was going to go anywhere, and it didn't. But on the fumble, now Winchester has the ball at the Peabody 34-yard line. So good field position, a minute and a half left to play.
Rundowns, 1st and 10. Line of scrimmage will be the Peabody 33.
And that Peabody Tanner defense that you see there has had a long afternoon as they have had to try and contain this Winchester offense, and the Sachems have put 20 points on the board. They lead in this ball game 20-13 and have a 1st down and 10 at their 5. Flags all over the place. At their 35, rather. Cromwell able to pick up maybe 2 yards. We'll have to see what the officials say. And the penalty is on Peabody.
Should be an offsides call, Mark. That flag went up as soon as that play was snapped.
There you see the situation at Foxborough. Sachems out in front 20-13. 1:22 remaining to play in the ball game.
I'd like to remind you that the trophies will be presented at the end of this contest. So those of you in the stands, we remind you that...
And Drew, it's been a delight working with you all season. At this time, I'd like to thank you for sharing the microphone with me. But the game is not over. The Sachems, inside a minute 10 to go, will pitch out to Cromwell. And Cromwell able to turn the right side. He's got a little room there, able to get down inside the 10-yard line before being knocked out of bounds. And Darren Cromwell picks up another first down. And I think it's safe to say, Drew, although we still have a little time left, that the Sachems look very good.
Here's a replay, Mark. Pitch out, Darren Cromwell running, a little bit of room. Now he's going to dip right there, trying to fake out Hatfield. No good. Hatfield pushes him out of bounds, but he had picked up some very good yards.
Ball resting just outside the 10 or 10-yard line. Call it the 11. And the Sachem offense now, with 59 seconds left to go, will be trying to chew away the rest of the clock. Here they go up the middle. Fullback Danny Costello, who's been a very good compliment to Darren Cromwell all day, Drew, picks up 5 yards.
Well, it's good out of that option because you're supposed to be able to pitch out to a lot of different backs, and it's real good that the Sachems are blessed with the athletes that they have in their backfield. Danny Costello pounds them up for the tough yards. Darren Cromwell goes long. 36 seconds left to play in the game. Winchester out in front.
2nd down and 6 now. Here's the pitch back to Cromwell. Darren doing a good job of containing that football. Although it was dropped for a loss, Drew, more importantly, he did not give away the football.
Well, doing a little juggling act that time. The clock stopped at 20 seconds. Just pitched out. It was a little hard for him to handle, but he didn't want to let that turnover go because, after all, they're only up 20-13. Any kind of mistakes now. This game's not over, Mark. Any kind of mistakes for the Sachems could be real costly.
And you can really magnify that by the presence of the Peabody Tanners who were nearby. Had they picked up a loose football and returned it, game would have been 1 point difference, and then they could have gone for the 2-point conversion to win, or they could have tied it with a 1-point extra point. But the Sachems able to contain the football, no fumble. They are in control of their own destiny as the ball is resting at the Peabody 14-yard line. Only 20 seconds remaining to play, and 20 seconds stands between the Sachems and the Division I Super Bowl.
Mark, this is going to be a big night in Winchester. Only 3 teams have gone 10-0 in the season, and that is 1942, 1951, and of course 1986. And now these 86 Sachems are going to be crowned the Division I Super Bowl champions with any amount of luck. 20 seconds left to play. Mark, it's all up to you to take it home.
So DeMarco has an I formation behind him, rolls left. There's a fumble on the play. The Peabody Tanners have recovered. Peabody takes over at their own 18-yard line. There is 14 seconds left to play in the ball game. Number 89, Kevin McGovern.
Here's the replay.
Recovery for Tanners.
DeMarco had it stripped away from him. Number 73 that time. Kelly Craig came in and stripped it away from DeMarco before he had a chance to really pitch it out. So you can't really fault John DeMarco on that one. That was a good play by Kelly Craig.
Well, Drew, now the Sachem defense will have to come up with their best effort of the season, especially the defensive secondary, because Tanners now have 14 seconds left to play in the ball game. 14 seconds, which they can probably put up a good 3 passes and long passes. So the Sachem defense will have to play safety ball back there in the secondary.
We're going to see an air attack. Here it is. Vizella.
Mike Vizella is in on the stop. He drops Staunton for a loss, and you cannot win ball games if you can't get it off. And now the clock is stopped with 5 seconds left.
Well, both teams, Mark, with plenty of timeouts before that drive. Peabody had 4, Winchester had 5. Here's the replay. Vizella handles his man, and his man was number 61, Gary Bua. He's their big linebacker, but he couldn't handle Mike Vizella that time. Vizella peeled him off and went right to Staunton.
And now there is a timeout on the field. The Sachems talking with their coaching staff. And Drew, you got to talk about Mike Vizella. He is being scouted heavily, number 73 in your picture on the left there, by many Division I colleges. And he has really played well, and he had a very good game, although Darren Cromwell with 3 touchdowns kind of overshadowed it in the Woburn game, but he had an outstanding day against the Tanners of Woburn on Thanksgiving Day.
Well, Mark, there's 5 seconds left to play. Mike Vizella has been figuring in heavily. This team, the Sachem team, is really loaded with a lot of good ball players, and they have to be happy with what's happened today. But let's kind of hold our tongues with 5 seconds left.
As you said, Drew, 5 seconds left, split backfield. Here is Staunton looking. They're going to give the Miami Dolphin play. However, they're not going to fool the Sachems. Too many Sachems there. as the Winchester Sachems are the 1986 Division I Super Bowl champions in Super Bowl 15. Congratulations.
Well, your final score, Mark, 20-13. The 1986 Winchester Sachems, there they are, probably the best football team in the school's history, 11-0, Division I champions, and they have to be enjoying it right now on the turf at Foxborough Stadium.
And the Winchester Sachems, coached by Manny Marshall, this his 20th year, and what better way to celebrate your 20th year of coaching at your high school than by posting a Super Bowl victory in the Division I, the first ever in the history of Winchester High School.
That final score, everybody, 20-13. Winchester wins. They are 11-0. And just take this opportunity to thank everybody involved with Sachem 86 football. There's your final score. I'd like to thank Mark Ockerblum. Mark, you've been a real help, and you've been there at every game. I'd like to thank Steve Groh, our director and producer. Well, actually, our director has been Kevin Moore, and there's any number of people to thank. We'd also like to thank, of course, the Winchester School Department for the cooperation they've given us throughout the coverage of the year. And, of course, the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association for the cooperation they exhibited to us in letting us cover this game down at Sullivan Stadium. That final is again 20-13, Winchester Division I champions in Middlesex, and of course the Middlesex League champions as well.